a Midtown Manhattan office building a couple days ago. So whenever a tragic mass shooting like this happens, a question on everyone's mind is, one of them at least, how did this happen, right? Especially in a city with a large police force. So, Lieutenant, in your mind, where are the possible or potential gaps, perhaps, that in public security that led this event to happen?
Well, an incident like this is near impossible to prevent because of the time that it took this individual to get out of his car carrying a rifle to where he shot the police officer and other people. I think it was about 14 or 15 seconds. But what we can do, lessons learned perhaps from an incident like this. One, the New York City Police Department and other police departments need to ensure that there's a lot of police presence in areas that can be targeted. Now, how do you figure out what, anybody could be targeted, but you had the NFL in this building, you had other corporations that are in the news in this building, and believe me, those people could be targeted any time. And in this case, this individual allegedly was going to target the NFL offices, but ended up going into a different office and committed this horrific crime. So police visibility is a great way to prevent things like this from happening. And also, 2 officers should be assigned as security officers in a lot of these environments. 1 officer is not enough. You need 2. And I've advocated that for years. Put 2 cops in a car, not 1. So those are 2 things that we could look at as gaps. The other situation is corporate America has to work in partnership with the local police in order to address issues like this. Got to be proactive. My concern now is a copycat or somebody trying to pull something like this off again as a result of what they saw on TV. The fact of the matter is that happens, but we have to learn lessons from each horrific incident that occurs.
Right. I mean, we definitely have to. And one of the things that we have to look at is, semi and fully automatic rifles are restricted in New York City. So how did he obtain that weapon, the long gun? And what are the possible reasons, or rather the possibilities of what he took advantage to be able to get that weapon despite it being restricted?
Well, the police have learned that this individual has a history of mental health issues, so that's number 1. And the question, again, get to your point, is how did he manage to get himself a possession of a weapon? Now, there are reports out there that the police are going to be questioning someone who allegedly helped him with the obtaining of this weapon. It was purchased in Las Vegas, and he traveled from Las Vegas in his car to New York City to commit this crime. He was on a mission to kill. And when you see him walking to the doors of that corporate building, he was casual. He wasn't afraid. He wasn't concerned. I believe he was on a suicide mission. He had no intention of getting out alive. And obviously that certainly happened. So again, something like this, very difficult to prevent because how quick it was. But the fact of the matter is, again, as I said before, lessons learned, high police presence. And by the way, in a lot of these incidents, we find out the aftermath. There were some things on social media that maybe should have been red flags to some people. We find out that in some of these chat rooms, some of these social media platforms, guys like him go to, they're saying crazy things. And it may lead you to believe they may do something as crazy as this. People need to speak up. Call the police. Don't feel that your voice don't count and they're not listening. They are, and they need your help.
Do you think more police resources are needed to tackle gun trafficking and perhaps illegal firearms?
Well, absolutely. The problem we're facing in America today is that there's been a big push, especially by liberals and progressives, to defund the police. You got a candidate in New York City now who has been described by many, including me, by the way, as a communist. I mean, here's a guy running for the city of New York mayor who wants to defund the police. And by the way, disband a tactical unit that you saw yesterday or when the shooting occurred go into that building. So we need to make sure that people are elected to office who are looking out for the best interests of the American people, looking out to protect the good guys and not the bad guys. You need more police. You need more intelligence officers out on the streets gathering information and intelligence. That's how you become very proactive. And you may never know how many you prevented, but I'm sure you will prevent a lot of actions like this.
Okay, just one last question, Lieutenant, and I believe you were referencing Zohran Mamdani. So how much of an impact could the results of the upcoming election have on policing and crime in New York City, in your personal opinion?
Well, if he wins, not only New York City will be in a clear and present danger with regard to crime and everything else, but he then plants the seed in one of the largest cities on earth, will allow others to run for office of his philosophy, of his ideology. I think you got one in Michigan or Minnesota who's also running on what I would call a communist platform. And we can't let that happen here. We cannot let that happen here. And I'll tell you, if he gets elected, you'll see a mass exodus of not only civilians from New York City, but a mass exodus of police officers. And that will be a tragedy on top of a tragedy.
Well, Lieutenant Rogers, it's always great to speak with you. Thanks again for your time today.
Well, thank you very much.